strategy. Learn from Arif Halaby.
All right, welcome to the show, the Total Financial Hour. I'm Arif Halaby. Thanks for staying with us. Thanks for being with us this hour of the program. Look, we're going to talk about your family's financial life. I try to keep it simple, easy to understand. A lot of the times, you know, in the financial world, or you'll listen to financial programs or watch them on TV, it's always funny to wonder who their audience is, because they'll get into, you know, the great ratios of the bifurcation, and you're sitting there going, okay, there's got to be other people watching this that understand it, because I don't. And you think, well, why are they using these kinds of words? Maybe I'm just not smart enough, right? I don't know if you've ever gone through that. I watch these programs. Sometimes I don't understand what they mean exactly, and you wonder, is it the same as when you talk to your broker? Is their goal to make you think they are smart? Because when you meet with them, often they will give you pie charts and talk about graphs. And the moment you bring up a word like, okay, so what are my fees? Oh, your fees. Well, anyway, what's happening with the GDP? And you go, well, back up. What does it cost me to do this? What are my fees? So time and again, I think you have to realize that some of the processes that you go through in order to become good at the your financial life, sometimes it goes back to, let's just keep it simple. And if you do that, you generally speaking do pretty good. You do well when you take a look at keeping things simple. So here it is. I'm going to go over two things today. Number one, some of the tax law changes, how it might be just the right time for you to do something called a conversion, which is where you take traditional IRA, which is money that you have not paid taxes on. Maybe you deferred it from your income 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago or more. And this year, because tax rates are pretty much record lows, we're just about a record low number, maybe it's time to convert some of that. You don't have to be a certain age. You can do it at any time. You don't pay a penalty or a fee. What you do pay is income tax. However, if this is a year where your income is lower than what you would expect in a normal year, or it's the same but the tax rates are lower, then doing a conversion, you receive the credit under the old tax bracket, and yet today you get the benefit under the new tax bracket. It's not a bad idea, huh? It's like being able to save that double coupon and you buy something on sale today, even though the double coupon was issued when it was at regular retail price, but today you get an extra discount. That's what's happening. The amount that you would save on your taxes are somewhere between 10 and 20%. It depends on where you are in the tax bracket. So that means if you were supposed to pay $20,000 extra in taxes, you would pay $18,000. Could be less. If you're going to pay $5,000, you could pay as low as $4,000, $4,500 maybe. So there's a little bit of a discount there that I want you to keep in mind, but you still have to pay income tax on it. So you're going to meet with your CPA or your tax preparer, your tax advisor. You're going to sit down and say, ma'am, sir, here's my scenario. Here's what I expect to make this year for the rest of the year. Is it worth it? Should I convert? Here's what the numbers look like. And they will tell you. In fact, I just did it today with a client. We sat down and we said, okay, we're going to convert about $100,000, but based on their tax credits and their tax preparers, they're going to pay around $6,000 in taxes. Well, that's a great deal. I would do that, wouldn't you? Move $100,000 that's never going to be taxed again from one account to another. Now, they had some tax credits or some what's called loss carry forwards. In other words, they have lost money in years past. It's just sitting on their tax return. They're not getting anything for it. So they thought this would be a great time to move it from one, which is don't tax me now, tax me later, to another account that says, I've paid all the taxes I'm going to pay. No more taxes on this money, right? So again, your financial professional, your CPA, they need to have a conversation together. If you want us to help you, we're happy. You can always give us a call here as well. 888-99-RETIRE. That's our number. 888-997-3847. Sometimes we can help you on the air. Often you guys send me emails. I love it because we'll be able to get through those and get a little bit more specific. Sometimes we say, come on in the office, and no obligation. There's no fee. That's not what we do. And we'll see if we can help you. If we can, great. If not, we'll say, well, let's get your CPA on the phone and let's have a conversation. So here is, I think, some of the issues, some of the good stuff And one of those is simple. You have to have your Roth IRA open for 5 years at least or longer if you want to be able to take out the money that you've converted. So in other words, let's say you take $20,000 and you move it from your traditional IRA over to your Roth. As long as that Roth IRA was open at least 5 years, you are allowed to take that money out and not pay any penalty or fee on it. You'll pay taxes, but you did that when you dropped it in, so there's no extra tax on it. That's important you know that, because part of this, it's not to spend your retirement money before your 56th birthday, because you're going to need this money. But it's to realize that you do, if you have access to the money just in case. So there is a backup plan to that. I don't want you to think there isn't. But that's one particular benefit. Another benefit is when you reach age 70 and a half, you are no longer required to make minimum distributions out of this account. That means you're not required to take a monthly check. Now, for some of you, you take out that money anyway. It's no big deal. You're going to take it out. You're going to spend it. So 6 of one, half dozen of another. It's not an issue. But what if? What if when you reach 70 and a half, maybe you've inherited some money? Maybe you've paid off your home. Maybe, just maybe, you're still working and you don't need money from your retirement accounts just yet. Maybe in a few years. But if it is in the pre-tax, like a 401k, 403b if you're a school teacher, also known as a TSA, tax sheltered annuity. If you work for the government, it's called a 457 plan. If you work for a for-profit company, it's called a 401k. Okay, all of those 400 plans, 403, 457, 401, all of those plans, at age 70 and a half, you have to start making withdrawals from those accounts. If you don't need it, tough luck. Not only do you have to eliminate the money in that account and lessen the value for future use, but it becomes taxable on your income tax. Now, for some of you, when you check with your tax preparer and you sit down and you say, hey, folks, I don't need this money. What does it cost me? They say, well, it's only about $6,000, but because it pushed you over the limit, your Social Security is now subject to income tax, where yesterday it wasn't. You go, but I don't even need the $6,000. Tough. Because they force you to pull money out of your retirement accounts, the IRS goes back to your Social Security check and now can tax up to half or even 85% of that money. So it isn't just, it's only $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. No. It's that plus the consequences, meaning it can create you in a higher tax bracket or even have your Social Security taxed at all. So this is a big deal if you're trying to not have to either withdraw the money because you need it for future use, or because you're in a position to say, I'm going to be taking it out at a later date when my tax brackets are lower and I can manage it. So the IRS doesn't care. Oh, you don't need the money? Tough luck. We do, says the government. So remember, your retirement accounts that are pre-tax money, that's nice. You got a little tax break when you put it in. But that is the savings account for the IRS. It's a savings account for all of these federal programs. When everybody runs around and they say, the government has to stop spending money. Folks, it's just a math problem. You have to understand. There are mandatory increases in Social Security and Medi-Cal, Medicare, Medicaid in some other states. There's mandatory social programs that have to have increases. And what that does do is that creates, believe it or not, a mandatory increase in spending, which means taxes. So by the time you take out the military and you take out the social programs, there's very little bit of the budget left to do anything with. So even if they cut 100% of what's called discretionary, which means they have a choice on, even if they cut out 100% of that discretionary spending, they would still never balance the budget. So they have to grow the economy, increase taxes, and believe it or not, cut benefits in Social Security, Medi-Cal, and Medicare. They have to. It's just a math problem, you guys. It's not something that, those Republicans, those Democrats. It doesn't matter what political party. There just isn't money. But these government welfare programs. No problem. These government welfare programs also apply to corporations, Why do you think there is a record number of corporations that are supporting the Democrat Party, not because one is good or bad or the Republicans are big company and labor. And no. It's because where am I going to get something for nothing? So let's talk about how tariffs are probably going to affect some of your retirement accounts. It's very simple. Follow me with this story. I'm going to use a couple of them just in case you don't get one of them. Imagine you own a liquor store, one of the corner liquor stores, right? And for the last 5 years, under the previous owner, the employees have been stealing $1,000 a month in alcohol out the back door. You know that. The owner says, hey, listen, I make enough money. It's a way for my employees to think, that they get a little bit of benefit. It keeps them showing up on time. I get some goodwill. I'm okay, says the old owner, in dealing with $1,000 stealing out the back door. I've budgeted for that, and it works for me. The new owner, you come along and you say, well, wait a second. Why? I'm paying these people pretty well. Why are they stealing out the back door? Well, I told you it's and you go, listen, enough. And instead of saying no more stealing, you come along and you say, listen, you guys can only take $600 worth of alcohol out the back door. You've got to stop taking $400. Now, can you imagine the righteous anger that those employees would? You've let me steal $1,000 before, and now you want me to steal only $600? You would think that's insane. All right? So park that story in your mind for a second. Now imagine you're working with, Germany. And Germany has been levying tariffs on the United States auto industry for years. They've been stealing $1,000. The last president, the president before, they've been taking $1,000, all the previous owners. And the new president comes and says, wait a second. Our auto industry is strong. You guys have a great auto industry. BMW, Mercedes, VW. Volkswagen, you guys have a pretty good Porsche. Hey, Germany, you're pretty darn good at cars. Why don't you just let those compete normally? And Germany says, no. We want to still keep stealing $1,000. We want to still be placing tariffs on your cars. And the new owner, the President Trump, comes along and says, listen, you guys only place tariffs, only steal $600. Oh, you're a trade war, you disrespectful, you are hurting our allies. You go, but realize we're still letting them steal $600. So in other words, countries, whether it be China, Great Britain, Canada, Mexico, have been still on the opposite side placing tariffs. In other words, they are stealing from us, and we say, well, we just want an even. How about nobody steals from anybody? No, we want to still keep taking from you. Well, then fine, we're going to put on these. We're going to now take from you. No. Do you follow me? Meaning, this is going to be a short-term, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, I don't know, maybe only a month. You saw that some countries are coming around because they go, oh, listen, we got away with it for a while. We've been stealing for a little while. Okay, fine. We'll take a happy United States and only steal $600 instead of a really upset United States stealing $1,000. So what you have is some goods and services that you import, whether it be from China or from the other countries, are now going to be possibly increase in prices. So how much? Ready for this? Just a couple dollars. Really, $10, $20, $30, $40. Still a lot of money when you add it up. But depending on what you're talking about, it's a few dollars, maybe 1%, 2%, 3%. It's nothing comparatively. And it also says, well, now I have a choice. I can buy a less expensive American product than a more expensive product made in Europe or Canada or China. So these countries have made choices and changes and will probably affect your retirement spending. You can expect it to. Until they come back in the United States. See, the United States says, all right, you're right. We're not going to steal from you. You don't steal from us. Well, the other countries don't like that idea because they've been getting away with so much for so long under different administrations, crying all sorts of, just give us a chance, get us back on our feet, just let us get started. Okay, well, that's nice. But you understand that they've been doing that now since post-World War II. So who's the son of a gun in the story? After a while, it kind of seems like it's us. But I think that's going to impact your retirement account. You have to be prepared for that. You're spending. Some of the companies that are part of your retirement account might have higher costs, right? So that can affect you. It can cost you some dollars. So I want you to be careful about that. Part of the challenge here when we go through the process of trying to figure out, should we spend money here? Should I retire there? Is you have to realize the cost of living that it takes to exist. All right. Well, when we come back, I'm going to give you a list of where I think it might make sense for you to consider spending your money instead of other places, right? Both in cities, counties, states, right? What does it look like? We are seeing U.S. workers are seeing the biggest pay and benefit increase in the last 10 years in the second quarter of this year. That means there's more money for the worker. That's a good thing. You have unemployment in both the minority communities and the white communities. Unemployment's at record low. You also have possibly more money coming into the United States. And as these more dollars are coming back into the United States, because companies like Apple and Amazon, some big companies, decided to, it's called, basically it's like an inversion, a tax inversion. What they did is they bought a company overseas for peanuts, if you will. They transferred it as, quote, their national headquarters, their international headquarters. All the dollars go from the left pocket to the right pocket. The right pocket, called Ireland, is not taxed or paid very little income tax. So the United States sees no taxes, no benefit. They don't see any benefit. So we are slowly starting to see some of those dollars repatriated. I think you're going to see continued growth in wage, continued worker benefit increase. And if you're an employee and you're not happy with where you are, there are some chances for you to either find another job or to go somewhere and say, my company over here across the street, they're offering me more money. Can you match that? I don't want to leave. I like what I do. I like the people. I don't want to leave. But I am able to get a pay increase of X across the street or get extra benefits or whatever it is. Are you willing to match that? And that's a great conversation for the employees. That's never happened before, at least not for many, many, many decades, where the employee has been put back in power. All right, so when we come back, we'll get into that a little bit, as long as some tips that I have for some widows and single moms, women that are, used to be called fragile in the community. I don't think they are. I think they are powerful, but they are now having to make decisions on their own. We have some of those tips and tricks when we come right back. You're listening to me, Arif Halaby, on the Total Financial Hour. This is your place for news, talk, and information, your hometown station, KHTS.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
The Santa Clarita Artists Association has a new gallery in downtown Newhall on 6th Street between Main and Railroad, right across from the Canyon Theater Guild. The gallery features our members' paintings, sculptures, and one-of-a-kind handcrafted gift items. Whether you're an art lover, buyer, or an artist wishing to join, visit our website at santaclaritaartist.org, come to our free monthly meetings at Barnes & Noble, or stop by the gallery. For upcoming events and exhibits, check us out at santaclaritaartist.org. We make visual art visible.
Visiting Angels is looking for quality caregivers and companions to join our growing team of compassionate, caring people providing care and assistance to Santa Clarita seniors. Our Angels help seniors with activities such as meal preparation, light housekeeping, personal care, and running errands. Visiting Angels takes pride in offering competitive wages, benefits, paid training, and flexible schedules. We have clients throughout Santa Clarita, so you can work close to home. Details at visitingangels.com/Santa Clarita.
Visiting Angels, America's choice in home care. Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial power, the Total Financial Hour. Now higher income strategy. Learn from Arif Halaby. Learn about about financial power, the total financial hour. Now, Arif has...
Hey folks, welcome back to the program. I'm Arif Halaby, Total Financial Solutions. That's us, the Total Financial Hour, right here on your place for news, talk, and information, AM 1220, KHTS. All right, I wanted to get into a couple of things, specifically when we're looking at single and divorced women and sometimes widows. You have to think about, usually you operated with, you did some of the financial stuff, whether it be the earning some of it, spending some of it, budgeting some of it, or all of it. But your spouse usually had some role as well. And then when you're divorced or when you find yourself alone as a single mom or whatever it might be as a lady, you've got to be thinking through the process differently than before, because often whatever role the other person was playing, of course, they're not there anymore. So I'm going to give you some tips and tricks, some things that I think for you to get in, take some personal control over this again. Don't feel intimidated. Don't feel concerned that you don't know things. Today is so different than it was 22 years ago. I started in the financial world. Today is completely different. 22 years ago, you had to go to the library. You would spend hours. You would spend sometimes hours with a financial advisor. Some would, speak down to you. Some would disrespect you. Some would help you. It just depends on where you were and the time. But today, everything comes right here in the cell phone or your tablet, on your computer. You can find out anything about anything. Just type it into one of the search engines and off you go. That's a very different model than being weak and vulnerable and sitting in a corner saying, oh, please, I need someone to help me. Right? Don't do that anymore. Feel empowered to make a change. And here's where I want you to focus. Number one, consider some of the apps. Simple. On your phone, there are some apps, whether it's the Google Play or Store, whatever that's called in Google, or the App Store. All right, you can get in there. You can say, all right, I need some applications that help me budget. Maybe your spouse handled the budgeting. Maybe they handled the paying of your credit cards. You can get that on your phone. You can go to any credit card website, download Chase Bank, Wells Fargo, your credit union, Bank of America. Download their app. You could see all of the credit cards, all of your accounts in one place, everything, and click on it and track your spending. All right? Because you have to know where you are if you want to know where you're going. Imagine for a minute I said, hey, do you want to leave to New York? And you go, but yeah, let's do it. I never tell you when or where we're going to go from. You think we have to go east because you think we're leaving from California. But the truth is, we're going to leave, let's say, from Florida. Well, now, if you go east, you're in the sea. you have to go north. So where are you leaving from, and what is your destination? Okay? Those things matter. And if before you counted on your spouse to give you that guidance, if before you counted on your spouse to give you the direction and the pointers, that's a different model than today. All right? Why does that matter? Simply because you need to fill the void of what they were doing. That means saving for a rainy day. I like emergency accounts. 6 months makes me happy. A year makes me happier. So if you walk in and you say, hey, Arif, I want to give you my entire retirement account to save and invest and plan for my future and put it in guaranteed income and I don't want to lose any money. And I go, great. Tell me about your emergency account. You go, what do you mean? Well, if you had to put a new roof on the house or new tires on the car, how much do you have access to? You say, well, I have $600 in my checking account, but I have $300,000 in my retirement account. I'd say we're off balance, folks. Stop saving in your retirement account and use those monies to put into your savings until you can build up your savings account. Oh, but Arif, I have to pay taxes on the money. Yes, you do. But if you have to have access to money, you're not 59 and a half. Your retirement account is important, but you need an emergency account. I don't want you to go into credit card debt or do a second mortgage on the house just to handle day-to-day emergencies that we know are going to come up, let alone property taxes or Christmas presents, right? Those aren't surprises, you guys. Your car insurance is not a shock. You know what it's going to be. You take the math, divide by 12, and every month you save that money. You know what your property taxes are if they're not impounded. Every month you take that amount and you put it in a savings account. And when the bill comes, you transfer it over from your thing, write a check, send it in. Done. Oh, but I can't afford to do that. No problem. It might take you 4 years, 3 years, 5 years to build up that emergency account. I'm all right with that. But don't forget the emergency account. All right. Now let's say your emergency account is fine. Maybe you were renting a house before, or maybe you have a home and you just, for whatever reason, it brings bad memories. Don't make a financial decision based on emotional feelings. Right? I saw one of those speech guys, right? The valedictorian type speeches. I don't know, it was a movie star or something, went in front of this graduating class, and it said this. It said, hey, I don't want you to trust your heart. Your heart lies. I said, what? Never trust your heart. Your feelings are going to not tell you the truth. You go, wow, that's incredible. Yes, that's true. About your spouse, about a financial. Now listen, I don't mean about people, right? In other words, do I like you or do I not? There's a feeling I get. Trust that emotion. But whether or not 1 + 1 is 2 doesn't matter your feelings. So don't forget that. Oh, Arif, I feel like I should buy a new house. Why? Why? Well, because rents are just going up. Yep. Can you afford it? Do you have a down payment? No. Well, then you're not buying a house, folks. I know, but I can borrow from my cousin's mother's brother, and then I can take money out of my retirement account, and I can cash in my 401k. No. You're taking an asset and you're buying a liability. That is exactly the opposite. You don't take something that can grow in value, pay taxes and penalties and fees, so that you can buy something that even if it's paid off is going to eat you alive in property taxes and maintenance. The worst financial mistake that you can make is to buy a house to live in before you have investment or income property. Period. Oh, but Arif, you don't understand. Look, don't listen to me. Listen to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He said, you're crazy if you buy a house to live in. It's a money pit. Oh, but rents are $3,000 a month. Yep. I'm throwing money away. Yep. But what about, well, if you bought a house, you understand your first, 3, 4, 5, 8 years, nearly all of the money anyway that you pay is interest. You're throwing it away anyway. Yeah, but at least I'm in. Okay, but next time houses go down in value, maybe you could buy it and save all that money and then some. Oh, well, at least I'd get a tax write-off. Not really, not anymore. Because after the whole scenario of California, you're kind of, maybe so, but maybe not. Look, I think it's great to have a home to live in. But if your choice is pull from my retirement accounts to buy a house, bad move. If your choice is cash in all of my retirement savings or borrow money, which means go deeper into debt so I could go into debt, that's, folks, I don't care who you are, the math doesn't work. So, yeah, but I'm still renting and yeah, I know. Well, tough luck. That's what you have to do. Get 6 roommates. I don't know. But you don't understand my privacy. Listen, you're not a millionaire. You're not a billionaire. So you're going to have to give up something. Ooh, privacy. You mean you're going to actually have air conditioning? Yeah. We have air conditioning. You have carpet on the floor? Yeah. You have a cell phone? You have a car, right? Cell phone car? Yeah. Okay, so do you understand being, quote, poor in America is not what you think. It just means that instead of eating out every night, you actually have to take your lunch to work, you mean? So go back to a reality check of making good, sound financial decisions. And yes, sometimes it means you have to take a step backwards to go forwards, or even 2 steps backwards. But I can't tell you how important it is to not cash in an asset that is growing so that you can buy something that will eat you alive in fees, property taxes. You understand you never pay off property taxes. I'll tell you a story. Many years ago, I was in China. Took my daughter. It was a fun little trip. And, it was my son on this trip. I've taken them both at one time. It was kind of nice. But I took my son. It was 2008. We're walking around, and I said, oh, these are beautiful houses. Oh, this is great. Yeah, I said, so they have property rights here in China? He said, well, the way it works is you own the structure. It's a 99-year lease, but you never own the land. And I said, oh, that's a bummer. And he said this was the English-speaking tour guide who actually lived in the United States for many years, so he's familiar with both systems. And he said, yeah, the way it works is you pay a lease to the government for the land. You own the structure, so if the government kicks you out or says, oh, your 99-year lease is up, we want our land back, you have to give up the house, but they will pay you for it. So you can go buy an equal or greater value house down the street, no big deal. But you have to give up that land. And I remember thinking, wow, that's a bummer. You never own the land? He said, no. He said, do you guys own the land? I said, oh yeah, we own the land. He goes, then what are your property taxes? See, we call it a lease here. You call it property taxes. You never pay off property taxes. I said, oh, yeah, but at least we can sell it. He goes, you can sell it. The 99-year lease now becomes, 58 years or whatever it is. It's just shorter. And at the end of 99 years, you can renew it if the Chinese government allows you to renew it, which means they either have to pay you off in cash, which they may not have the money to do or want to spend it on that, and or let you stay and continue to collect a payment out of it, which they're happy to do. So don't think there's a huge difference between the Chinese property system and the United States, because we have eminent domain. Ask Consumers Furniture when they put in that Cross Valley connector, how they came along and said, hey guys, we now own this land. We're putting a bridge right where your store is. He said, but it's been in my family for a while and we own this land. Oh yeah, tough luck. Right? Sometimes you lose your land in eminent domain, which is the government comes in. Now they have to compensate you properly for it, and ultimately that's what happened to them. But don't think that there's a huge difference. You can call it whatever you want. In China, it's called a lease. In California, it's called property taxes. I don't know if the lease can ever go up over there. Maybe it can, but certainly your property taxes can and do go up here. So give yourself some time to get settled. It was a 1950s marketing strategy to tell you that the American dream was to buy a home. That is phony. It's just like saying Coke is whatever it is, right? Coke is life or Pepsi makes you free. Those are marketing tricks. So don't think. Now, listen, I want you to buy a house to live in after you have 2 or 3 rental properties that are paying you every month, after you have retirement accounts that are sufficient, after you have an emergency account that's good. Those things are fine. I don't want you to just run out and say never or always. But don't fall in line with if any CPA or financial person says you need a house for the write-offs, run. Don't walk, run. And throw your shoe at them so they slow down if they're chasing you. Because that's the dumbest financial advice I've ever heard. You don't spend $1,000 so you can get back $600. What? How about if you just spend $600 and you break even and you have money for other things? So remember, the idea of buying a home as a single mom or as a widow or something, it's important. You do it, but you don't have to do it until those other things are in place. All right, here's something else. Before you walk down the aisle again, now listen, a lot of ladies and men are remarried. Sometimes right away, sometimes it's sometime later, but a lot of them are remarrying. When that's the case, I want you to think twice about who your beneficiaries are for your accounts. It is okay if they are going to be your new spouse, of course. But consider, what is it like to have a living trust, right? A revocable living trust. You speak to an attorney, not a financial advisor, not a financial professional of any other sort, except, in my opinion, an attorney. They might charge you $1,500, maybe $2,000 if it's a simple trust, right? Doesn't have to be too complicated. And you can say, listen, if I die, my new husband gets this, my children receive that. Right? You can bifurcate the assets. You can have a life insurance policy. And we recommend this all the time. And that goes to your children. So in other words, you can leave your retirement accounts to your new spouse. If you were to do that, they can to carry over the tax. So in other words, it's not a taxable event. They're not required to start taking money out. It just becomes their account if it's a spouse. But if it goes to the kids, there are certain rules that may require them to pull money out. However, if you give those same kids a life insurance policy, it's tax-free. There's no requirement for anything because there isn't any taxes associated with it. So that is an option for you to have your children receive a life insurance policy, and your new spouse receives your retirement accounts. So consider that as an option, because what it does is it gives you freedom to not have that argument, right? Who's going to have the money? Well, I gave you, we saw this recently. The husband had never had any children, doesn't have any other beneficiaries, and the wife has an older daughter and from a previous marriage. So she wants the daughter to be the beneficiary, but not the husband. But the husband says, listen, I'm giving you my stuff. Why can't you give me your stuff? Right? So do you see the friction that can be created? I don't want you to do that. I want you to think about that a little bit. There is an answer. There is a way to give the daughter, your son, 2 kids, 5 kids, your grandchildren, to give them something. You can say, I'll give them half, whatever the story is. But just remember, life insurance is often a way to answer that question. And you can do it relatively inexpensively too. Okay, I talked about a couple of things. Partly when you're dealing with being single, especially as a single mom and you're working, you also have the guilt. Whatever it is, there's often guilt. I don't care who you are. You're the kids of a divorced family, or you're one of the divorcees, or if you're the one that either had an affair or made the choice to walk away, right? The depth of guilt and shame, even though you say it's her fault for all these hundreds of reasons, or it's his fault for all of these reasons, that's all nice, but the guilt and shame in some cases can stay with you forever and impact your feelings towards money forever. Do not think that your teenage kids don't see this. You can ask a lot of folks. They'll tell you, oh, my kids know how to manipulate me. Oh my gosh, do they not know how all of that works? Up to and including times when they'll know how to say the right words to guilt you into buying something for them. So stand back and let the numbers do the talking, and then get clinical help for the feelings of guilt and shame and all that. That you can pay for. But don't use retail therapy or buying off the guilt or buying off the forgiveness from your children just because they know how to use it, right? And even if they're not bad kids, just realize that that's a part of the process of this change. All right, here's something else. When I talk about, saving for a rainy day, that always comes from budgeting. Now, here's what I mean. Inside of your budget, inside of your plan and your savings, I want you to put aside a little bit of money for fun. The worst thing you can do is be this robot, this machine that makes, sandwiches in the morning and puts in fruit, kiss, kiss, hug, bye-bye. And the kids go out the back door and you run out and you can't tell me if it's Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday. You can't tell me anything if it's, June or December, because you're on this robot mode until one day the kids are gone and they're grown up and they're out to school and college and you've done everything you're supposed to do. But along that way, I want you to have fun. It doesn't mean go into debt. It doesn't mean use emotional reasons to go spend money on that you don't have. It means you can save for it. All right, so when we come back, I'm going to give you 3 things that I have found that people use, and you can test yourself. It works perfectly well. Never seen it fail me, ever. All right, 3 things that you can use in order to see whether or not you are making a good financial decision or a bad financial decision when we come back. I'm Arif Halaby on your place for news, talk, and information, the Total Financial Hour. You can go to tfswealth.com. It stands for Total Financial Solutions. tfswealth.com, or go to 888-99-RETIRE. That's 888-99-RETIRE, 888-997-3847. And we'll be back in just a minute on your hometown station, KHTS.
The best live theater can be found right here in the Santa Clarita Valley. The Canyon Theater Guild has been entertaining audiences for decades with top quality musicals and plays. Located on Main Street in Old Town Newhall, CTG also offers workshops for the young actor in your family. For more information, call the box office at 799-2702 or go online to canyontheater.org.
Hey, this is Ellen Kay, and did you know Exer More Than Urgent Care is open daily in Stevenson Ranch? Exer is the ER alternative that's built and staffed by ER doctors. With on-site lab, x-ray, and pharmacy, Exer has more medical services than a typical clinic. Walk in and be seen in minutes. Open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. For more information, just go to exerurgentcare.com. That's EXER urgentcare.com.
Men, are you feeling tired, stressed, or just don't have the energy you used to? Did you know this could be related to decreased testosterone levels? Luckily, there's a safe, effective solution. Weeder Prime helps support healthy testosterone levels with clinically tested key ingredients. Just 2 capsules of Weeder Prime each day can help change your mood, energy, focus, body fat, and lean muscle. Feel the way you felt 10, 20, even 30 years ago. Rediscover your Prime with Weeder Prime. To find a retailer near you, visit WeederPrime.com. That's WEIDER Prime.com.
Santa Clarita's hometown station.
Now FM 98.1 FM and AM 1220. Your hometown station.
Financial security will help you live the life you dream. Learn about financial.
All right, welcome back to the show. As we finish up this hour of the program, thanks for staying with me. We're going to get into the 3 tests that I can say that I have seen, probably 10,000 people over the years. The 3 different things that I can tell you when you are making a bad financial choice. How can you tell? How do you know that you're making it's probably not a good choice? How do you know? Number 1, you use God. To justify a bad financial decision, you put God in the middle of it. I'm not saying God doesn't tell you or want you to do good financial things, and even things that may not seem that good. But you know, if you were searching for something to justify a bad financial decision, I'll give you a good example. We had a client, her husband died in his 40s. She was left with many children. It's a widow. And she received retirement accounts and life insurance, about $700,000. But this was it. She doesn't have any skill to make any money beyond minimum wage jobs. And this was it for the rest of her life. And she took $700,000, and she felt that the right thing to do was to give $70,000 to her church here in Santa Clarita. The church knew that she was a widow, knew that she was had responsibility for minor children, and knew she had no skill. So these son of a guns, and listen, they know who they are, right? 90%, 99% of the good guys out here in Santa Clarita, but this particular group decided it was a good idea to take her money, and they did. I said, no, don't do it. It's tithing, which means money you earned. You physically toiled, you earned money. Okay, but I'm not a pastor, so don't listen to me. She chose to do it. Huge mistake. So if you're going to cover a bad decision with God, there's nothing I can tell you. What am I going to say? Don't do what God says? Of course. No financial guy or gal are going to ever tell you that's a good or bad move based on you covering a poor financial decision using God. Second one is your family. You take a bad financial decision. I am going to take money from my retirement accounts to buy a house for my son. Or better yet, somebody's retired. They're in their 60s. My brother, which means he's an adult, my brother wants to buy a house and wants me to help him buy a house. What? Why can't he go to work? Well, he needs extra down payment so he doesn't have to pay PMI. Oh, tough luck. Go get 3 jobs like I did, You can work, save up your money, get a smaller house. I don't know what the rules are. Don't live in that neighborhood. Live in this neighborhood. So forced her to take $60,000, forced, right? Family guilt, $60,000, which meant that was taxed. So for her to net 60, that means for her to receive 60, she had to pull out 85,000 from her accounts. Pulled out 85, gave 25,000 to the state of California and the federal government, got 60,000 left to give to her brother so he could buy a house. So I said, that's probably not a good idea. Have you checked with this? And have you thought about that? She said, no, Arif, you don't understand. That's how we do it. We are family. We take care of each other. Not a lot of people do, but we do. Okay. What am I going to say? Don't take care of your family? So once you cover a poor financial decision with some sort of obligation towards family, the conversation's over. It's all about signing the forms. Here you go. This is how you withdraw the money. Good luck. The third one that I have found is when you cover it in what's called the right thing to do. Say, Arif, well, you don't understand. It's just the right thing to do. I mean, you may not have God in your life. Maybe, maybe not. You may not have a family. Maybe, maybe not. But if you've taken a poor financial decision and you wrap it in, it's the right thing to do, Arif. You don't understand. It's just the right. What am I going to say? Go do the wrong thing? Of course not. What is it? What is your CPA? Well, do you understand? If you do that, if you do the right thing, you will pay this much more in taxes. Your CPA is he's not going to tell you to do the wrong thing. So if you are making a poor financial move and you're using God, family, or what's, quote, the right thing to do as a justification and not mathematics, right? Because math doesn't love you. It doesn't hate you. It just is. Math is just a part of, right? Whether you liked it in the 8th grade or you loved it in the 12th grade, it doesn't matter. Math is math. Today, with calculators on all of your phones, you almost don't have to even be that smart. You just know how to push buttons, right? So keep in mind that those 3 options are things that can lead you down the road of saying, if I'm using one of those to make this financial decision, maybe, just maybe, it's not the right one. Because the bottom line is this. Long gone are the days of single women being lonely and taken advantage of and ignorant and all the other baloney that people say. It's not that way anymore. Ladies, you are a force to be reckoned with financially and otherwise. So don't let anybody, a financial person, a stockbroker, a mortgage, it doesn't matter. Don't let them talk down to you. There's plenty of really good people out there who would love to assist you and help you without treating you less than. All right? And today we are finding more and more ladies have chosen to never have children and to never be married. Or maybe they were married for a short time, but never again. I had 2 appointments like that this last week where both of them were never married. One was a school teacher, one was a research person in a lab. They just enjoyed their careers. They promoted. They became very well respected in their field. So sometimes it's just you, and it's always been you. So just remember that you're part of a generation today that can use these things called cell phones, and they can use things called technology to make sure that nobody's taking advantage of you. You know, when I had we had some issues at one point with our car. We needed to get it fixed. And my wife said, okay, I can do this. I can do it during the day because I was busy. She said, where should I go? I said, I don't know. All these guys, right, at least the reputation in the auto repair world is that they're going to take advantage of a single lady that walks in. Oh, you need to change the air in your tires, ma'am. That's $49. I got to, no, all right. And so we went to an amazing place that has become now, for a decade or more, the same place that we go whenever we need anything done. Oil change to whatever. New engine put in the Suburban for the kids. Whatever, we did it at Ace Automotive. There's probably a couple of pretty good guys out there. Pack Automotive is a great company, I've heard. But we use Ace. We walk in. They never sell us something that we don't need. I can trust my wife to go in, get stuff done, and not have to worry about having to pay 3 times for something we didn't need. So when you find that kind of person in the automotive world, or you find somebody like us in the financial world, you don't let them go. Because you know they're going to have your best interest at heart. And you know that they're going to always speak to you as an adult, with intelligence, somebody who can understand. And today, with the social media and the review, right? How many stars can you give me? Between Google and Yelp and all of the other different review services, it's pretty easy to call out a bad guy rather quickly. But still, not everybody uses those services. The Better Business Bureau used to be the place you would go. Better Business Bureau says this company is good. But understand that Better Business Bureau is a franchise. Their job is to call as many companies. They're just like, believe it or not, a Chamber of Commerce. They just want members. And they tell you, listen, we're the Better Business Bureau. We'll give you a certain member rating if you join us. If you don't, no rating for you. Or we'll give you a lower rating. So they kind of like, talk you into doing this thing. But we used to use that. That's what the system was. It was the BBB, Better Business Bureau. Today, with the other competitors, it's now easier to get instant information on folks, their quality of service, etc. Right? So, bottom line, make sure that you enjoy complete control of your own financial situation without somebody else's financial interest. I'm not excited about these folks, whether you're young or never married or single divorced, whatever it might be. I'm not excited about these other folks treating you with disrespect. Total Financial Solutions, that's what we do. We're here every week at this time. Make sure that when you're changing jobs, and folks, this is the time to do it. When you're changing jobs or you're promoting or you're asking for a pay raise, don't forget to ask about your retirement accounts. They do not have to wait, 6 months or 1 year. You can tell them, no, you know what? I want to join that retirement account sooner rather than later. Right? That's important. You can start the retirement account right away. You want me to join your company? You want to hire me? Then let me start the 401k the first month. All right? That allows you the opportunity to say, I want to be in control of my financial life. Last thing when changing jobs, don't forget to ask for upfront bonus money. Some can give it to you, some can't. Some will say, we'll give it to you after 6 months or a year, but negotiate that in. All layers of jobs these days can have contracts. You don't always get it, but you'll get something in writing that gives you bonuses or benefits if they see that you're worth it. And if not, then you need to go somewhere else, or you need to be worth it. So get better. Thanks for joining us. I'm Arif Halaby. This is the Total Financial Hour. You can go to tfswealth.com. That's tfswealth.com or 888-99-RETIRE. Thanks for joining us.
KHTS